I've always had a problem with the concept of retirement. Retiring from something implies that you are currently spending your time and energy doing things that you'd rather not be doing in the first place. So presumably you retire from the things you don't enjoy doing, which begs the question, why are you doing those things in the first place? Unfortunately, I am not on that beach. I'm still down here in my basement. I am going to assume that because this video wormed its way through the YouTube algorithm to find you, that you are probably not spending the vast majority of your time and energy doing something you love doing. I'm going to assume that you spend most of that time working a job that you have no real connection to, that does not inspire you or make you want to leap out of bed every morning and tackle the day with gusto. I get it. I've been there too. I'm also going to assume that you already sell stuff on eBay, or maybe you're just wondering whether it's a good way to generate some extra income, maybe even enough income to retire from your soul-sucking day job. Either way, it feels safe to assume that you are looking for something more freedom, more money, and you think reselling might be a way to get it. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. When I think about the concept of retirement, it bums me out. The idea that you have to work for some massive number of years, saving a huge chunk of your money so that you can maybe someday, when you're old and grumpy, do nothing. Or spend your time doing what you wish you could have done for all those years you spent working for someone else in a job you didn't like. Whose idea was that? What sounds way more attractive to me is spending all of your time right now doing what you love doing and getting paid to do it. If you can crack that nut and find something you are passionate about that also brings in enough money to live on, you have got it made. Retirement is no longer a thing to pine for. You can retire right now. So one of the big secrets to life is to find something that you love doing that also makes enough money to survive on. This idea is extremely perplexing for so many people, and I don't blame them. Making a living in non-traditional ways is a very foreign concept to most people. The cards are stacked against you almost every step of the way. Whether it's having health insurance tied to your job, the crippling debt you have to take on just to get an education, or the social stigma that comes with being self-employed. Even telling people you resell stuff can be a bit daunting. Most people simply don't understand what it is you do, or they think you're preventing children from getting the Christmas presents they want unless their parents pay triple the retail value, or stealing from the needy, or scalping concert tickets. I'll save the ethical debate about reselling for another video, but my point is being self-employed carries a stigma, and reselling carries an even bigger one. But like all other money-making endeavors, reselling generates revenue only because it provides a valuable service that others are willing to pay for. It's easy to lose sight of that, especially when you have no real direct interactions with your customers, unless something goes wrong. But make no mistake, as a reseller, you are providing a service. What service are you providing? Well, the last customer who bought something from you on eBay could have spent a majority of their free time visiting thrift stores, garage sales, or flea markets looking for whatever they bought from you, but they have no interest in providing that service for themselves. They just want to press a button and have it show up at their door in a few days, and that's where you come in. That's the service you provide. Procurement. It's really no different than, say, how a grocery store operates. If you really wanted to, you could grow or raise 100% of your food and never visit a grocery store ever again. But the vast majority of you do not, because you have no interest in providing that service for yourself, and you would much rather pay someone else for the convenience of not doing so. I have two kids. One is 12 years old and the other's 10. As an adult, I often think to myself, what advice do I wish I got as a kid? And I try to give them that advice in subtle ways that doesn't come across as actually giving advice. Because I also know when I was their age, whatever my parents said was a pretty good signal for me to do and think the exact opposite. The core of the message I try to send my kids ends up being things like, keep your needs low. Be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Be okay surviving on very little. Don't bite off more than you can chew. This doesn't mean you have to survive on very little, but the lower your needs, the greater your freedom. And this is what we are all seeking, right? Financial freedom, time freedom. The more you consume, the harder it is to gain that financial and time freedom we all desire. This is all very fresh in my mind right now. About a month ago, I made the decision to part ways with my career. For about 20 years, I worked in the tech industry, building products online used by millions of people around the world. I loved doing it, until I didn't. I knew it was time when I started to spend unreasonable amounts of my day fantasizing deeply about retirement, but the idea of spending 10 or 20 more years slogging through jobs I no longer enjoyed sounded horrible to me, and I knew in my heart that I would never retire in the traditional sense. What I wanted was to retire from my career, not retire from spending my time doing things I enjoyed that also happened to make money. Why should I wait a decade to do that? Can't I just do that right now? So that's what I did. There's a famous picture that you are probably familiar with. It's of Bruce McCandless, the first astronaut to float untethered in space. There he is, a small dot floating through the great unknown, attached to nothing. Uprooting your entire life and career to follow your passion feels a bit like I imagine Bruce felt. You're unhooking yourself from the safety harness of your career to explore the unknown. But here's the thing, that safety is an illusion. This is yet another lie we tell ourselves to justify not taking risks. A lie I told myself for nearly 20 years and that I still struggle with believing to this day and maybe will forever. The truth is, a traditional job can disappear in a second, especially in the tech industry where mass layoffs are rampant. The reality is there is no safety that comes with a traditional job. None. Your employment is almost entirely out of your control. It doesn't matter how hard you work or how valuable you are. It can all be gone in a second. If my family and I hadn't kept our needs low, stayed comfortable being uncomfortable, and survived on less than we made, it would have been impossible to step away from a lucrative career to instead resell other people's junk, talk to strangers on YouTube, and build apps for my hobbies. But we spent the last decade or so living below our means, building this reselling business on the side, learning the ins and outs of it, and most importantly, building our confidence that we can make it work without a traditional job. That is the real power of reselling. You see, reselling is like a gateway drug to entrepreneurship. It gives you the confidence that you can make money on your own without having to work a traditional job, and that confidence extends to other pursuits, whether related to reselling or not. But make no mistake, none of this is easy. So how do you know if the eBay retirement plan is for you? Let me walk you through a few considerations. First, do you enjoy going to thrift stores, flea markets, garage sales, auctions, estate sales, things like that? If so, then the eBay retirement plan may be for you. But if that is not your idea of fun, I don't necessarily recommend that you pursue it. It'll most likely end up being just another job that you want to retire from someday, and there are surely much better ways to make money than rooting through other people's garbage to find the occasional profitable item to resell. It would be dangerous to simply adopt someone else's passion and force it to be your own. You've got to love it too, because reselling is a slog, even if you love doing it. It very regularly gets mislabeled as a way to make passive income, but there is nothing passive about it. Making income passively means you do the work up front, and that work continues to pay dividends over time without any additional investment. Reselling is basically the opposite of that. Yes, you can make sales while you sleep, which seems passive, but you still have to pack it up and ship it off when you wake up, or else you won't get paid. And you have to be constantly sourcing and listing, or else your sales will dry up over time. So you have to really love doing it. Remember, your goal is to not retire later and do nothing, but instead to spend your time now doing something you enjoy doing while also making enough money to survive. Next, you need to figure out how much money to make in order to survive and hopefully thrive. Ideally, your needs are low and you have no debt. If you're not already, track all of your money going in and out on a monthly basis down to the penny and have a complete understanding of how much money it takes to run your household. That is your income goal. Knowing how much it will take for you to survive, you next need to figure out how much you need to be selling in order to make enough profit to meet your income goals. I'm not going to go into great detail about that now because I have a separate video that explores it in depth. It's called How to List Anything in 4 Minutes or Less, and I will link it up top and under the like button below. But in that video, I tell you exactly how many items you need to be listing per month in order to meet whatever income goals you may have, along with a spreadsheet you can use to calculate your own numbers. Finally, you will need to be willing to diversify. There is a real danger that comes with being tied to a single source of income on a single platform that is largely out of your control. The risk becomes no different than that of a traditional job, because you have no control over eBay. They could go away tomorrow or ban you without appeal for no apparent reason, and there goes your livelihood. So you must be comfortable diversifying. This includes not only branching out to other marketplaces, but outside of reselling too. Having multiple diverse sources of income is the only way to truly minimize risk. This may seem daunting now, but remember, reselling is like a gateway drug to entrepreneurship. If you don't have other ideas for how to make money outside of reselling right now, that's okay. Focus on reselling and build your confidence that you can make money on your own without having to work a traditional job. Those ideas will come in due time. The eBay retirement plan may not be for everyone, and that's okay, but if you really are passionate about reselling, I hope you too can figure out a way to turn that passion into more than just a hobby and not wait until you're old, grumpy, and retired. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, you'll probably enjoy these other videos from me, so check them out and thank you for watching.